Okay, good morning, everybody. Good evening. Alcor is pleased to welcome you all to today's webinar. So, more about Alcor. Alcor is a global cloud advisory and implementation services company serving Fortune 500, government agencies, and other leading organizations in multiple industry verticals across the Americas, Canada, and India. Alcor is a ServiceNow elite partner. We also partner with leading technology companies including AWS, Oracle, Azure, FireEye, Microsoft, Okta, Incorta, and Attivio. We advise leading businesses on cloud platforms, architecture, enterprise service management, and integrating IT service delivery. We also provide business process consulting to capture, re-engineer, and improve processes that can easily be automated to deliver real value. The Alcor consulting team has excellence in business strategy, cloud technology, and organizational change management. Our ongoing webinar series is designed to inform, enlighten, and start discussions within your own organizations. If you require any additional information after listening to today's webinar, please reach out to us through our website www.alcortech.com. It's www.alcortech.com. We have time reserved at the end of the webinar for a Q&A session. So please feel free to type any questions into the questions section of the webinar dashboard. Moving on, today's webinar topic is ServiceNow Cloud Management Solutions, Bridging IT and Cloud Operations, presented by Abbas Abidi. Abbas is a technical consultant with Alcor and focuses primarily on cloud management, AWS integrations, and ITOM in ServiceNow. I will now turn the webinar over to Abbas.
Thank you so much for the introduction, Sheetal. Hello everyone, I would like to welcome you all to this webinar. This is the agenda for today's webinar. We'll start with the first topic called cloud computing. I will cover the basic parts, then we'll talk about the benefits and the challenges of cloud computing. In the second topic, we'll cover ServiceNow and its cloud solutions and how it deals with the challenges of the cloud computing. Then I'll explain you that how we can create custom cloud solutions on ServiceNow, followed by a demo. In case you have any questions during the webinar, then post them in the question section. I will answer them at the end of this webinar. So let's get started. The first topic is cloud computing. Here I will give a brief introduction about cloud computing, types of clouds, cloud services, and then its benefits and challenges. As per the definition, cloud computing is the on-demand delivery of computing services, which includes servers, storages, databases, networking, and software over the internet or cloud. In layman terms, let us assume that if the hardware and software that we are using in our laptop or desktop machines are provided to us as a service by another company and we access it over the internet, then it will be called as cloud computing. We all perform cloud computing daily, like the websites or the apps that we are accessing over the internet, like Facebook. It is hosted in the data centers or the private cloud of Facebook. Or the movies that we watch on Netflix and Amazon Prime are hosted in the public cloud of AWS. The photos that we click from our mobile phone get stored in iCloud or Google Drive. That's also cloud computing. Now let's discuss about the different types of cloud environment. There are three types of cloud. Public, where the clouds are owned and operated by a third party cloud service provider. Examples: AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, and IBM Cloud. Then comes the private cloud. A private cloud can be physically hosted on the company's data center or provided by a third-party service provider in which the services and infrastructure are maintained over a private network. Examples are VMware. Third comes the hybrid cloud. Hybrid cloud is the combination of both public and the private cloud. It gives you more flexibility, more deployment options, and better security. Most of the enterprises are following the concept of hybrid cloud in order to avoid vendor lock-in, and a lot of advantages are there. Let's move to the type of services that are available on the cloud. So the first type is IaaS, or infrastructure as a service. This means that you rent the virtual infrastructure from a third-party cloud service provider while you manage the platform and application. Examples are AWS EC2, Microsoft Azure. Then comes the second one, PaaS, or platform as a service. Means you rent the platform and infrastructure from the third party while you use it to build scalable applications. Examples are Red Hat OpenShift, AWS Elastic Beanstalk, Google App Engine, and so on. Third type, and the most common type of cloud service, is SaaS, or software as a service. Means you use a complete running application on cloud without worrying about the application, platform, or the infrastructure. Examples are Google Apps and the ServiceNow. Now let's talk about the benefits of cloud computing. In traditional model, the company used to handle the expense of hardware and software and licenses for setting up and running data center. Cloud computing eliminates the expense of buying them and provide them on a rental basis with different pay as you go pricing models. It can be scaled elastically. For example, you own an e-commerce website that is hosted on 3 servers that are connected through a load balancer. In regular days, it runs smoothly. However, during the, for example, Black Friday sale, lots of users come into your website and start submitting the request to the servers. After some time, what happens? When the utilization of the server crosses the threshold, they go down, and so is your website. To avoid this, the cloud gives the model of using elastic computing, where the compute resources are automatically scaled. With the available cloud portals, you can provision an infrastructure within minutes. It is also very reliable and provides better performance than the on-prem servers. With all the benefits, there are still some challenges that we face during cloud computing, like forecasting the cost and managing the cloud spending in elastic computing or in hybrid cloud environment. Enterprises worry about the potential security risk, data loss, and data privacy in a public cloud environment. That's why most enterprise chooses to go hybrid. Also, the organizations lack visibility into the IT used by their employee, and governance becomes quite difficult in a hybrid cloud environment. Enforcing policy and enterprise standards like naming conventions of the VMs or a standard VM size and operating system is also a challenge. In order to avoid vendor lock-in, enterprise prefer multi-cloud over hybrid cloud environment, which makes it difficult to manage them from different platforms. With so much development in cloud area, there still exists a lot of challenges that needs to be catered. Now we are moving to the second part of the webinar, that is ServiceNow. Here I will, in this section, I will first talk about ServiceNow and its solutions, and then we'll cover ServiceNow's cloud management platform and its features, followed by an overview of ServiceNow's cloud API. Now let's understand what is ServiceNow and how it is working in overcoming these cloud computing challenges. ServiceNow is a cloud-based platform and suite of applications that facilitates organizations to manage various aspects of their IT infrastructure, organizational processes, and services. It was founded in the year 2004 by Fred Duty, and since then it is ever growing. It has been dominating the IT services market and was ranked #1 by Forbes in the list of the world's 100 most innovative companies of 2018. It releases two major upgrades every year, so without a doubt, one can understand that it deserves to be awarded #1 in innovation. Madrid, the latest release of ServiceNow, was launched in the beginning of the year 2019. And as of now, today I saw a post on the community that the New York release is now available for the developers. So it launches it do so many developments and so many innovation that it has to launch two major releases in a year. It is also quite a developer-friendly tool, and it gives developers the ability to customize its platform. Developers can create their applications on ServiceNow and present it during the knowledge conferences that they have every year. Alcor Solutions also focuses on it, and we have and are developing our products on ServiceNow. Now, what you currently see on the screen is a ServiceNow wheel with its core as the Now platform, which provides various features like application logic, security features, CMDB, reporting and analytics, and self-service user experience. The outer circle shows its services, which are broadly classified into three categories. Number one is service management, which comprises of services like incident, problem, and change management. Business management, which includes project, resource, and financial management. And last comes the operations management, which consists of discovery, event management, orchestration, and of course, cloud management. Now let's discuss cloud management. Cloud management is a part of the IT operations management suite of ServiceNow. It provides you a single interface to access cloud resources, publish cloud offerings to the catalog, and maintain the usage of those resources. By using cloud management, you can manage multiple cloud infrastructure in the same platform, build your own resources, track down the cost, put governance, apply policies, and monitor your cloud resources all in a single interface. As you can see in the screen, it supports almost all the public cloud providers. It has out-of-the-box support for AWS, Azure, and VMware, and it can be extended to support the Google Cloud Platform and IBM Cloud. Now I will explain that how CMP works. Cloud management contains predefined objects, also known as resource blocks. We use them to model and cloud infrastructure required to deploy an application. Example, a virtual machine hosted on AWS data center. So the virtual machine and AWS data center both are here referred to as the resource blocks. We can also design it with the help of the Cloud API. Then we create the cloud accounts to connect with the target cloud. Once connected, we run cloud discovery to populate the attributes of the cloud resources into the configuration management database of ServiceNow. To maintain enterprise standards, the cloud management creates resource profiles. There are different resource profiles which are created to map the operating system image, virtual hardware, and schedules to a region of the cloud account. So the mapping process and the resource blocks are the base elements that are required to configure a stack. These elements are linked together in a cloud management template known as blueprint. Once blueprint has been properly constructed and defined, it can be shared with the end users as a catalog item in the cloud service catalog. When a user requests a catalog item, the information supplied in the catalog item is merged with the information in the blueprint to define a stack. Before the stack is launched, the policies are applied onto the stack. To ensure that the user has proper rights to deploy the stack may also require approvals before its launch. Policies can redefine the attributes of the stack to make something like a virtual machine naming standards. Once all policies are applied on the stack is then sent to the cloud orchestration service. Cloud Orchestration Service utilizes the Cloud API to translate Blueprint into one or more REST API calls that will be used to provision the stack. Now this code, the Blueprint code moves to the mid server where it executed against the target cloud. If the code to provision the stack meets all the requirements of the target cloud, and if the target cloud is configured properly, then the stack is provisioned. I know it was all theory, but later in the session, I will explain all this during the demonstration. So after covering this CMP works, as I mentioned earlier at the beginning of this session, that the cloud management platform has a single interface to manage all the cloud and all the management and the design, governance, everything can be managed from one portal. There are in total 2 portals that cloud management platform provides. One is admin portal, which is only available for the cloud admins, and the other one is user portal, which is available for the end users. Now let us talk about the admin portal. The admin portal, as you can see in the screen, the admin portal gives you a single interface to manage your clouds, create different resource profiles, set up credentials. It can also help you design blueprints, create catalog items and resource blocks. You can also govern your cloud accounts by creating policies, applying quota, and setting up some budget. You can also monitor the cloud events with the help of Cloud Admin Portal, and you can also analyze the billing, budget consumption, and tax. All these information and all these things related to the cloud resources can be managed from this portal. Next comes the user portal. In the user portal, you can launch your own stack using the cloud service catalog. You can manage all your launch stacks and perform different lifecycle operations on them. You can view the recent activities related to your stacks. You can check the consumption, the budget, and the quota that is assigned to you, and that is assigned to the group for which you are a part of. You can also check your pending requests and also the recent stacks that you have provisioned. So Cloud User Portal gives you a platform to request stacks. It is a good platform for the end user and the developers to request stacks where they can check the approvals and they can monitor each and everything. Now let us talk about the cloud management features. The first feature of the cloud management is the management portal. The management portal can use to manage multiple cloud accounts in the same interface. It has the out-of-the-box support for AWS, Azure, and VMware, and it can be extended to support any cloud provider. It can also discover the cloud resources from different regions and private data centers and populate the ServiceNow CMDB with its information. Next comes the resource profiles. In order to maintain the enterprise standards, we can map different resources like virtual hardware or operating system images with a cloud region and make use of it while provisioning a machine in that region. CMP has a built-in cloud template creator known as blueprints. Now, it also gives you the option of using the cloud templates or what we call this, the cloud formation templates of AWS or the ARM templates of Azure. We can take care of the governance by creating policies for setting up the permissions, naming conventions. We can also create groups and user-specific quotas to limit the resource consumption and drop down the costs. CMP has a built-in user portal which gives the self-service option to the end users through which they can provision new cloud resources from the cloud service catalog. CMP can be integrated with the AWS service simple notification service, or also known as SNS, or Microsoft Insight to monitor the cloud events. Billing of multiple clouds can be configured in the CMP, and the cost can be analyzed in graphical and report format, and decisions can be taken to control the cost. So all in all, these are all the features of the CMP. So we have covered the challenges of the cloud computing in the early slides, and we have just discussed the features of the cloud management platform offered by ServiceNow. Now let us compare that what were the challenges of the cloud computing and how ServiceNow is providing an effective solution to it. The first challenge was managing multiple clouds. We discussed that most enterprises use a multiple or a hybrid cloud environment as it has its own advantages. However, it becomes difficult to manage them in different interfaces. So ServiceNow comes up with this solution that ServiceNow has an admin portal through which we can configure, manage, and maintain the multiple cloud environment. It has out-of-the-box support for AWS, Azure, and VMware, while it can be extended to support almost all public cloud providers from the same interface. The second challenge was ease for the end users or developers to provision a new infrastructure. ServiceNow CMP provides the option to self-service via the user portal, through which the end users or developers can request new resources, they can track down their approvals, and they can check their provisioning status all at the same time. The third challenge was repetitive tasks and dependency on the IT. ServiceNow CMP brings this solution that it supports infrastructure as a code and has its own cloud template known as blueprints. Through Blueprint, we can design our own infrastructure. It also supports the AWS CloudFormation template and ARM templates. Its support can be extended with the help of ServiceNow's own cloud API. Fourth challenge was managing cost spending. This is considered to be the biggest challenge of using the cloud computing. So in order to in order to take care of this challenge, what ServiceNow provides a billing dashboard for multiple clouds. It also provides governance and compliance. By using governance and compliance, we can set up policies according to the enterprise standards and put quotas on users and groups to limit the consumption of resources. And by limiting the resource consumption, we can definitely manage the cost. Last comes the resource monitoring. ServiceNow can be integrated with AWS Simple Notification Service or SNS and Microsoft Insight. It can also be integrated with the VMware alerts to check and monitor the cloud events. Cloud Discovery also runs on schedules and populates the updates of the resource attributes in the CMDB. Through Cloud Discovery, we can populate all the cloud resources that exist in your cloud environment, and we can populate that in the CMDB. It can be later used in the ITSM and in other processes. So over and all, you can see that ServiceNow is trying to provide the best solution of the best cloud management solution. There are many cloud computing challenges, but ServiceNow is trying its best to provide the best cloud computing solutions. And the good part of ServiceNow is that it is developers friendly. And when I say developers friendly, that means that the core of cloud management application is built on this cloud API. This cloud API gives us the power to extend the capability of ServiceNow to any PaaS or any IaaS provider. So what is this cloud API? This cloud API contains REST API calls which are required to provision and manage cloud infrastructure and applications. The cloud API can be extended to add features to the existing product or add new products or services in existing cloud providers, and also add new cloud providers as well. What happens is the cloud environment is ever changing. Lots of new services are getting added to these cloud providers. What happens is we can use this cloud API to add those new services to the CMP, and then we can use it in our catalog to provision new resources. We can also add new cloud providers as well. We can extend the cloud API to add more public cloud providers like Google, IBM Cloud, etc. Or other cloud products like you must have heard about OpenStack, Landscape, or Terraform, for instance, which is used as an infrastructure as a code. So there is no limit to the cloud management solutions of ServiceNow. And this cloud API gives its more advantage of extending it beyond that. Now let's talk about some of the products which are built on Cloud API and are available on ServiceNow Store for free. Number one is Google Cloud Connector. Google Cloud Connector is created by ServiceNow, and it has various features like it can create ServiceNow cloud offerings from Google Deployment Management template. Like we have the cloud formation template for AWS, ARM templates for Azure. In the same way, we have this Google Deployment Management template through which we can create the resources from infrastructure as a code. It can provision IaaS and PaaS resources in Google, in GCP with governance and security policies applied along the provisioning path. So it is following the base CMP only. What Cloud API is doing is it is just extending its capability, existing ITSM process such as approvals, incidents, and change. So this also gives the benefit of using the core ITSM or the core Now platform features. It discovers near real-time state changes to resources in Google Cloud through integration with Stackdriver. Stackdriver, for those who don't know about it, is a Google's free monitoring tool. It is used to monitor the cloud events. So Google Cloud Connector also gives the option to integrate ServiceNow with the Stackdriver. Lifecycle operations like starting the VM, stopping the VM, or deprovisioning the VM can also be performed with the Google Cloud Connector. Next comes the IBM Cloud Connector. This is also the extension of the CMP, and it also uses the Cloud API. This is also developed by ServiceNow by extending the Cloud API. It can also create ServiceNow cloud offerings, but it uses the Terraform template to do that. It can provision infrastructure as a service, platform as a service resources with governance and security policies applied along the provisioning path. So governance, security, we don't have to worry about that because it is following the base CMP model. It can also be integrated like Google Cloud Connector. It can also be integrated with the ITSM processes such as approval, change control, and incidents. Lifecycle operations, as I mentioned earlier, can also be taken care by IBM Cloud Connector. The only thing that it depends upon, because since it is creating the offering through the Terraform template, so it depends upon another connector that is available on ServiceNow known as Terraform connector. Terraform is an open source tool used to create infrastructure as a code template. Its connector is also available on the ServiceNow store, and we can use it. For now, it offers the features to only provision the IBM cloud. But we are expecting that in the next releases, they will support other cloud provider as well. Now this was the end of the cloud management solution. Now we'll talk about what all custom solutions are available in ServiceNow, how we can create custom cloud solutions by using the Now platform and by using the capabilities or the APIs that are available of the public cloud providers. Then we'll discuss about our own product known as AlcorNimbus. So as I mentioned earlier in the slides, that ServiceNow is a very developer friendly tool. It lets you customize almost everything, and using its platform we can build lots of applications. To integrate with other tools, it provides the functionality of REST APIs and SOAP messages. It uses its mid server, which is a Java application, to extend its reach to the infrastructure. Every offering in IT operations management uses this mid server. The mid server can use mid server script includes to run jars. It can use discovery or orchestration to run SSH, WMI, or PowerShell commands in the infrastructure. Hence, we can utilize both these functionalities of REST and mid server to create any custom cloud solution. So in order to create custom cloud solution, we can follow these approaches. If there's CMP already in place, then we can leverage the cloud API that we discussed recently about. We can leverage it, we can use it to extend its capability. If CMP is not there, then what we can do? We can use the REST API of the clouds that are available. We can use the built-in REST message that is provided by the ServiceNow platform to integrate ServiceNow with the cloud provider and provision the cloud resources. Second option is CLI. What are CLIs? CLIs are command line interfaces. Command line interfaces are installed on any machine, and CLI commands can be executed to provision the cloud resources. Another option is using the software development kits. As you know that mid-server is a Java application, so the Java SDKs can be very helpful in creating a custom cloud solution in ServiceNow. So these were all the options that were available of the custom solutions that we can create from ServiceNow. Now let's move to the AlcorNimbus. AlcorNimbus, as I mentioned earlier, that Alcor has a strong focus on building products on ServiceNow. Out of the many products that we have developed so far, the one that focuses on cloud computing is known as AlcorNimbus. It's built on Madrid release of ServiceNow, and it uses the ServiceNow platform to provision and manage cloud resources. By using AlcorNimbus, you can publish cloud offerings to a catalog, maintain its lifecycle operations, discover its resources and populate the CMDB. There's an option to schedule labs for the developers, maintain the cost by using ServiceNow governance and billing dashboards. It provides a lab calendar option to see all the servers provisioning on the calendar itself. It can create images and provision virtual machine instances from the same. And it can also enable schedules for nightly teardown in order to save cost. But the best part of AlcorNimbus is that it is fully customizable as per your needs. We can also clone new VMs from the existing machines. We can perform lifecycle operations, like we can turn the VM on, we can share this resource. There are lots of options. We have not built this on the workflows. We are using the new flow designer that is available to us. And it is a good product that we have developed. In case you want to request a demo, then you can contact us and we will be happy to provide you with it. Now let's proceed with the demonstration. I will explain first how the CMP works, and then we'll include the following. We'll provision stack, we'll start and stop a stack, and we'll perform different operations. So as you can see on the screen, this is the cloud admin portal that we discussed about. It gives you the option to manage the cloud. You can design the new cloud catalog items, blueprints. You can govern the cloud resources. You can put the policies, you can put the quota, budget, permissions, and so on. You can also operate the cloud events, cloud activities through Microsoft Insight, through the AWS SNS. You can also analyze the billing and tag information and budget consumption. So first, let us understand what is the cycle, or how we'll configure the cloud account in the cloud admin portal and how we will provision a server. So for creating a cloud account, you'll have to go to the manage section of it. You'll have to click on the cloud accounts. After going to the cloud account, let me refresh it. Bear with me. Okay, so here I go. So as you can see that I have created this hybrid cloud located in East US location. And as I mentioned earlier that with CMP we can manage multiple cloud providers. Here I have created service accounts of AWS, Azure, and vSphere or the VMware data center. In order to configure the new account, you will have to click on the configure, you have to select the provider, and then you'll have to first discover the data centers of the cloud provider. For example, there you can see there are around 14 data centers around 16 data centers of AWS, and there are a lot of data centers, more than 30 of Azure. And we have discovered, since VMware vCenter is a private cloud, so we have discovered this private data center. Once it is discovered, then we'll have to run the discovery. As I mentioned that we can discover the cloud resources and bring back information back to ServiceNow and store it in the CMDB. So as you can see, we can discover all these resources that are available. This is out of the box, but we can surely customize it. We can discover the availability zones, the cloud formation stacks that we have provisioned is also available here. And we can, discover all the resources. And this is the first step. First, you'll have to configure the cloud account. Then you'll have to run the discovery in order to discover all the resources. Then you'll have to change it to the published state. Once it is done, then you'll have to go to the resource profiles in order to map those resources that you discovered into the locations. So as you can see, I have created two compute profiles. One is micro and another one is nano. You can create the profile by clicking new, and then you can map the cloud account and location. This helps you in setting up, an enterprise standards. For example, an enterprise want that this hardware template or this virtual hardware should be installed only in this particular location. Then we can, this gives a good advantage to us because, whatever we map here is only available in the cloud catalog. We can also create the OS profiles. We can specify what operating system should be available in which locations. Like, for example, we have created this operating system mapping of Windows Server 2016. And we can do the same for rest of the rest of the operating systems. Once it is done, then we'll have to design the catalog item. We can do this by following two options. As I mentioned that we can create the blueprints, or we can create the cloud catalog item from the cloud formation template, TERRAFORM template, or the ARM templates. So first, let's see how we created from the blueprints. Blueprint is the you can call it a cloud template provided by ServiceNow. In the blueprint, it gives you a graphical representation of your overall infrastructure. Okay, let me just go to the blueprint. Okay, so here, as you can see, if you go to the deployment model, here you can see that this gives a graphical representation of what we can design. We can create our infrastructure as we want. There are some options out of the box that are available. We can use the configuration management tools like Ansible and Chef. Chef server is also available out of the box. We can map internet gateway, we can map different load balancers, we can create the infrastructure as required. And these are coming from the resource blocks that we discussed, when we were discussing about how CMP works. So these are all these are the resource blocks which makes an infrastructure. Once you're satisfied with the infrastructure, then you can put the operations of provisioning, deprovisioning, stop, start. All these are also available out of the box. You can optimize the plan. You can check what you want in the when you're provisioning a virtual server, then what all information you want the user to add. And these are the things. And once it is done, then you can create the catalog item of the same infrastructure. Second option is by going to the cloud catalog item. You can create a new catalog item and specify let us open this one. So as you can see that it is using the CloudFormation template. We can directly, if we have the CloudFormation template or if we have the ARM template, then we can directly create the, as you can see that here, we can also do versioning in the CloudFormation template. So this is a good thing that directly from infrastructure as a code, CMP gives you an option to create the catalog item. Once this catalog item is created and published, then it becomes available for the end users or the developers who want to provision a new server. So if you want to see that, then we can switch to the user portal. So here, as you can see that in the user portal, as I discussed in the presentation, it gives you several options of launching a stack, managing stack. You can check the quota, you can check your recent stacks, you can check the pending request. All those things can be managed from the user's point of view. You can manage everything from here. Once I click on the launch a stack, then it will give me the cloud service catalog. These are all the items that I created from either from the CloudFormation template or from the blueprint. Once I create and publish it, then it becomes available for the end users to use. So now let's use this Ubuntu running Apache. It is built from the CFT. So here, we can first specify the cloud account that we created first, and then we can specify the location. So I'll be using AWS, so I'm specifying the AWS data center. And then we can give this stack a name. Maybe let's give it Alcor demo. We can specify the groups. As I mentioned earlier, that CMP takes care of the governance. From it can limit the quota based on either from the user or from the group. So I have selected this cloud developers group, and after checking all the mandatory fields, now I'll click on the provision. This is pre-populated from the CloudFormation template, and since it is very difficult to remember the subnets and the security group information, so I'm keeping it as it is, and I'm just giving the name of the virtual machine. So let us give it Alcor demo VM. Once I submit this catalog item, then this is from user's view. Then a new request gets created. First, it checks for the policies. Then, since there is no approval there, so the request gets automatically approved. Then it checks for the quota and capacity, and as you can see that it has checked the capacity, and since there was some quota, that is why it has moved to the next stage. Now it is deploying the stack. I've opened the AWS management console as well. We can check the EC2 servers here for the stack, and we can check how quick it is to create a virtual machine. Once I click on the running instances, as you can see that here there is Alcor demo VM, and it is in the state of running. It is initializing, and it has also given the public IP. Now let's go back to the user portal again. As you can see, it is giving the status of completed. Now we can check the view stack details for the information. So Alcor demo was the stack. Alcor demo VM was the virtual machine. Once I click on it, then it gives me all the information. What is the private IP, the password information that I provided in the CloudFormation template, and the public IP. Once we can copy the public IP. Since I created this this CFT was Ubuntu with Apache, so it must run the Apache web server. Let's hit this public IP. As you can see that a website called Marketing Web Dev is loaded. and this server is up and running. It hardly took a minute or two to provision this entire stack. As you can see in the stack, there is option of, you can see the network interface card, NIC card. You can see the storage volumes. As you can see, it is 8 GB. So all these information were defined in the CloudFormation template. So now let us assume you want to, as you can see that in the AWS console, let me refresh it. This Alcor demo VM, let's take this one. This one is in running state. So let me go to the manage stacks. Let me find out that stack that I created. Okay, this is the active stack. So as you can see that this is the status active, and I can, modify the lease. I can, these are all the life cycle operations. I can reprovision it. I can stop the servers. Let's see, when I click on the stop, what happens? It asks me to, are you sure you want to perform this operation? As I created this stack, so it did not require any approval and was available for me. So for example, I'm a developer and my work is over, and I can, stop this virtual machine from this portal. Once I click on OK, and within some seconds, I guess, yeah, as you can see that this stop request is created. Now it is checking for the permissions, and it has sent it to the orchestration engine. Request is in progress. If I go to the AWS console and refresh it, then you can say that it is stopping. So what we have covered so far is how we can configure it, how we can configure a cloud account, how we can create a stack, how we can create resource profiles, how we can design the stacks and design the infrastructure. We can also put quotas and budget and policies. For example, if there is a naming standards or naming convention that an organization follow, then we can do that from the policy. Even when a developer provides any name, for example, I provided Alcor Demo 2, and it does not meet the policy, then it will automatically override that. So this is the quota definition. As you can see that I chose Cloud Developers Group, so I had specified this maximum group limit and per user limit. So you can govern all the things from this quota. We can operate and check the cloud activities, the cloud events from the monitor. As you can see that I have connected this ServiceNow with VMware, AWS, and Azure. So I'm getting this event called that it removed this particular virtual machine. So all these events can also be tracked from a single platform. Now we can go to the billing and check the billing dashboard. It will take some time to load, but it will give a good trend. As you can see that this is the overall spend for AWS, and if I select this month, then it will give me the details that how much cost that I have utilized so far. We can select the categories based on resource. We can check which resource is utilizing how much cost. Based on that, we can we can take decisions. We can check whether this resource is required, whether we want to run this resource, whether we want to shut down this resource. We can take decisions, and we can indirectly maintain the cost. So this was all from the demo. I'll hand it over back to Sheetal. And if you have any questions, you can post. I'll be happy to address them.
Thank you, Abbas. It was a wonderful webinar, in-depth and quite thought-provoking. Like Abbas mentioned, we will give you a few minutes to type in your questions in the question box. If you do have any questions, please send your questions our way. So we have one question, Abbas, as of now. How does Cloud API connect with the cloud provider?
Cloud API uses the REST APIs. It uses the REST APIs of the cloud provider to connect with the ServiceNow. Actually, what it does is it connects through the REST APIs of the cloud provider. The REST calls get triggered from the mid-server script include, and that is connected to the cloud API. So what happens is the cloud API contacts the API of the cloud provider through the mid-server script include. Mid-server script includes are located in the ServiceNow, and it gets executed on the mid-server. So overall, if anyone wants to understand that how cloud API is connecting to the cloud provider, in short, I can answer it is using the REST APIs of AWS Azure that are available.
Great.
And if you want to extend it to more cloud providers, then we can use their REST APIs and extend its capabilities and create a new cloud provider.
We have another question. Does the CMP support cloud migration, or can we download the RDP files of the server provisioned from ServiceNow? How does it work?
No. CMP is a cloud management tool. It can't help you, migrate from one cloud to another. It is basically, as we discussed the challenges of cloud computing, it mostly focuses on that area. It is used to provide a single interface to manage the multi-cloud environment and put governance policy and manage the cost. The migration activities, and we cannot download the RDP, but as I shown you in the demo, there was the public IP that was created when I provisioned that virtual machine. We can use that public IP to take the RDP, but there's no option to download the RDP file directly from the ServiceNow.
One more question, Abbas. How do we encrypt additional EBS volumes?
Encryption is done mostly from the cloud API. If you want to do the encryption, that is a question for the cloud owner, or who takes care, or who is the AWS architect. You can from the CMP, if there's an API, if there's a REST API to encrypt the EBS volumes, then the same REST API can be configured and can be, the features can be added in the cloud API in ServiceNow, and then it can be called from here to encrypt the EBS volumes. So the only requirement is there must be a REST API for the encryption.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Abbas. The recording today of the webinar will be available to all of us on the website, www.alcortech.com. We will also send you the link of the recording, the attendees, the registrants who came for this webinar. We will be sending you the recording for you to kind of dive in at a later date. You can also connect with us at our social media sites. We would love to have conversations and engagements with you all via LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook. All our company updates, events, and industry news updates are all available on social media. I thank each and every one of you who attended the webinar today, and we look forward to you joining us on our next webinar. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Abbas.
Thank you. Thank you all.